was a full moon in the middle of June in the summer of '59. I was young and cool and shot a bad game of pool and hustled all the chumps I could find. Well, now they call me sport, cause I pushed the bar short and loved all the women to death. I partied hard and packed a mean rod and could knock you out with a right or a left. I had learned to shoot pool, playing hooky from school at the tender age of 9. And by the time I was 11, I could pad roll 7 and down me a whole quart of wine. I was making it a point to smoke me a joint at least once during the course of a day. And I was snorting scab while other kids played tag and my elders went to church to pray. I pitched pennies and down bennies and played the horses at the track. I wanted cards against tremendous odds, and my favorite game was blackjack. I seldom lost cause my game was so boss. I mean, I had my shit down pat, and I was running through bitches like rags to riches, cause that's where my heart was at. Yes, I was a down stud's dream, a hustler supreme. There wasn't no game that I couldn't play. And if I caught a dude cheating, I would give him a beating, and I might even blow him away. Now my ace boom poon was a young boy named Spoon. My crime partner from the block, he had served a bullet and a deuce, and now they were cutting him loose from the joint they called a rock. We had hung out as kids, serving alternate bids in various reform schools and jails, and he was like my kid brother, and we had helped one another till he was busted for some stolen goods sales. When he finally came back on the scene, his wardrobe was lean, so I bought him some vines of his own, and then we lit up some smoke and snorted some coke, and I dug how the brother had grown. He was bigger and meaner, and his mind was more keener, and he had earned the rep with his hands. Plus he was eager to compete with the hustlers on the street, for my man had ambitious plans. And I lent him a yard and copped him a rod, a 38 blue steel piece. Then we split to the Cafe Black Rose to party with some hoes, and for dinner we ordered a feast. Just about everybody goes to the Cafe Black Rose to drink, party, and eat. And if you ain't down, you better not hang around, else you sure as hell will get beat. The grease is nice and at a decent price, and all the bitches is fine. The jazz is so sweet, you'll be patting your feet while sipping on a cold glass of wine. You can cop your bag of reefer or skag, and even some coke or some hash. But don't ask for no credit or they'll tell you forget it, cause hustlers only deal in cold cash. We had just finished greasing when the bitches started teasing for us to split and lay. Spoon's cunt collar was tight, which is understandably right after serving 3 years in a day. We about ready to split when I dug brother Hominy Grit, a runner from the south side of town. He was coming our way, so I figured we'd lay and hear about the happenings going down. Brother Grit was hip to all kinds of shit. I mean, there wasn't nothing he didn't know. He knew every hustler's name, including his game and who did or didn't keep dough. We traded jive and slapped each other 5 as Spoon silently checked him out. He had heard that Spoon was my ace boom poon, so he knew what our hustles was about. He was as usual, so sporting as well, clean from head to toe. He was dressed pressed down in a pinstripe brown, and his pocket was bulging with dough. Dick, I've got some news you dudes could use that might help y'all get by. So I thought I'd knock nonchalantly mention the Hustlers Convention taking place at the end of July. It'll be at Hamhock's Hall, winner take all, only the best can play. Cost you 10 grand to get in, but you must continue to win, or you won't be allowed to stay. There'll be money for the making, bitches for the taking, and all you can shoot, snort, smoke, or drink. And a whole lot of lames will fall victim to the games, cause only true hustlers can think. Gonna be hustlers galore, trying to score, traveling by land, sea and air. There'll be a coming to play from New York and LA, and other points distant and near. They'll start to arrive around 11:55 at number 66 Snake Eyes Square. Won't be no cops on this beat, they been paid off real sweet. Why even the mayor and cop the Michelle. Now I'ma be in charge of the security men at large that'll be surveilling the flow. And when the shit hit the fan, just squeeze the palm of my hand. Now let y'all slip out the dough. Just give me 20% of each earned grand from either you or your man, subtracted from your total net. And the words telephone for you will be y'all's cue to start easing from out of the set. Well, that's about it, Jim. It's time for me to split now. Y'all can school me in a week or two. Sport, you should make it a bet to land on the set. Let Spoon make us a hustler's debut.
Had our heads spinning, just thinking about winning. But we maintain a silent stare. The main hustler rule is don't blow your cool. So we acted like we didn't care. But I knew this was it as I watched grit split, contemplating what all this meant. For I had saved my money like a bee star's honey, just laying to make this event.
Spoon let me know that he was ready to go, so we anteed up and split. We went to a Southside hotel called the Fires of Hell and proceeded to cop a little bit. Now the time flew by, and it was soon July, and the days grew funky and hot. But me and Spoon, we played it cool. And I taught him to shoot pool till he could soon sink 3 in one shot. I kept him under wraps till he had mastered shooting craps and could deal a winning hand. We would practice all day, then at night we would play poker, talk, and coon can. Soon Spoon got good at his old new livelihood, and now we were ready to deal. There was money to be made in this here hustler's trade, and soon it would be for real. We gave Good a ring the day before the thing to let him know that we'd be there, but it was early in the morning, cause Grit was still yawning, and all he could say was, yeah! Me and my man Spoon, we went shopping that noon to cop us some fronts for the set. We needed some vines that would blow their minds, plus give us all the finesse we could get. We went to a tailor named Wong who sold silks from Hong Kong and could sew a suit on your back. I caught me a 4-button roll and he spun the Spoon with silk gold. Then we split in our beige Cadillac. We went to Baby Blues to cop our shoes, some comfort split toes and canes. Blue smuggles and ships and makes overseas trips while hustling big company lanes. We rapped for a while, then left blues in style, sporting our brand new kicks. Went to a hatter named Knox and copped some straw diamond blocks, then split by the 5:45. We wined and dined and prepared our minds for the task that lay ahead. Jumped super clean and split to the scene, smoking Panamanian red. And you could feel all the tension building up at the convention as the hustlers began to arrive. Must have been 9,000 or more that came through the door. The time was 11:55. There were pickpockets and dope peddlers, murderers and thieves, card shop gamblers with aces up their sleeves, bank robbers, burglars, boosters and pimps, prostitutes, call girls, and all kinds of nymphs, loan sharks, swindlers, counterfeiters and fences, crooked politicians spending campaign expenses, hijackers, arsonists, bookies and the mob, and anybody else who ever killed, cheated, or robbed. Ex-pug named Brown proceeded to pat us down while his broad checked our hats. Britt nodded to him slightly and Brown shook us down lightly, treating us like diplomats. Brown let us slide, so we went inside with our 38 strapped to our chests. Without making a sound, we slowly looked around and scoped on all the rest of the guests. Hamhock's hall was big, so there was a whole lot to dig. As our eyes swiftly scanned the place, the decor was fly and everybody looked high as I focused on a familiar face. It was Stingy Brim Slim and his crime partner Jim, two hustlers from a long ways back. They were dressed to the bone and their reputations are well known as bagmen on kilos of smack. They were rapping the Big Bill Wheeler, international dope dealer, about who was gonna win the night. Bill had bet a grand on a hustler named Van who supposedly had his shit uptight. But me and Spoon, we just grinned as we continued to pin to see who else was there. We spotted finger-popping Teddy and his call girl Betty, whose perfume had lit up the air. I recall the past and how Teddy's rep has spread fast for being so swift with his hands. From the wallet in your pocket to a ring watch or locket, we specialize in expensive brands. Now Betty, it was said, could kill a gray boy in bed and make the chump submit. They would come before they came, then she would pickpocket the lame while telling him that he wasn't shit. My eyes caught a glimpse of two superfly pimps who had just come through the door. I could tell they were down and from out of town just by the clothes that they wore. Like a peacock's parade, they strutted around in silk slacks, handmade, sporting tan alligator shoes, decked out in colorful shirts of pink, yellow, and red, stitching a gold groove thread and acting like they couldn't lose. Spoon and I were impressed by the way these cats were dressed and how smooth they seemed to be. But there was one thing we knew for sure, and that's that there couldn't be no draw between us masters of streetology. We didn't find out till later from a booster named Ada, the monikers that these cats went by. They were known as Spongy Carp from out of Harlem, New York, and his partner Chicago Shy. By now, the champagne was flowing, the big band was blowing, as the musicians gave it all they had. Some cats were dancing, others were romancing, but everybody's head was bad. The joint was packed back to back, and the hustlers were eager to begin. They were ready to play from night to day, cause all of them wanted to win. There were private rooms in the rear at the top of the stair for the studs who wanted to lay, but the main set was below for the cats with the dough, the hustlers who had came there to play. We were now ready to oppose our illustrious foes, so we made it downstairs to the set. It was 1:15, and the players had already begun bidding on their opening bet. We shot craps first, since there was no limit on the purse, and we could bet as much as we please. I bet 5 yards, and Spoon took on all odds, making his first 7 with ease. We now had 5 yards to spend, so I made the same bet again as I watched the bones fly from Spoon's hand. He just missed hitting 7, but the 6-5 made 11, doubling our 5 yards to $1,000. We went on and bet the whole brand, which was faded by Van, the hustler whom Big Bill thought would score. Spoon rolled it off, balanced 5, and made himself a pair jive with Sight Van to betting 4 more. There were equal bets around the table that Spoon wouldn't be able to make his 5 and survive, but he made his point, fooling everyone in the joint and kept his streak alive. Van was now visibly upset, upped his bet, doubling the 5,000 to 10, but there was nothing he could do against a 5 and a 2 except watch as Spoon did it again. Van got mad and bet everything he had, trying to save some face, but a 3 to 4 made him permanently poor, and the man had to leave the place. We had picked up 20 G's, bringing Van to his knees. Before Spoon surrendered the dice, he had scored so bad that everybody got scared, didn't want to try him twice. A few other studs rolled, but their games was cold. Soon they all blew their dough. The only dude that seemed ready was finger-popping Teddy, and now it was his turn to throw. He picked up the dice and blew on him twice, and hollered out, "The kiddo better grand. My bucks is long and my game is strong, and I'll take on any man." I faded his bet to my regret and watched him throw 52, but he had switched the dice and that wasn't nice, only he didn't know I knew. Yes, his fingers was fast and he had slipped his stuff past the eyesight of everybody there, but being true to his name, I had peeked on his game, and my man wasn't playing fair. I decided to let him play rather than betray his secret to the rest of the crowd. Only the end of his game wouldn't be the same after I blew his cool out loud. I let him breeze through 5 more G's before I made my move. I then tripled the bet and watched him sweat, wondering what I was trying to prove. He sensed that I knew what he'd been trying to do and figured he'd better lose. It was self-defeating to get caught cheating, and he didn't want to pay them dues. So I wasn't surprised when he rolled snake eyes and acted like he had made a mistake. He had played it smart, so I let him depart without revealing that his trick bones were fake. It would have meant his death had I exposed his theft, for this was the hustler's law. They would have shot him dead and took all his bread if I had told him what was really the score. It was now 2:30, and the crap game was through. As Spoon and I counted our loot, between finger popping and Van, we had made 32 grand. I didn't even have to shoot. We pocketed our bread and lit up some red and tipped over to shoot some pool. But we could tell by the play that they were well underway, cause a quick run would end the whole duel. It was the second frame of a rotation ball game, and Spoon and I stood digging the scene. They were playing 61, and Slim had just finished a run that had left the whole table clean. His opponent had lost at a hellified cost, and no one else wanted to play. So I stepped up to the table and announced that I was able, and this is what Slim had to say. "Hey, take this lame challenging my game. Well, you must be out of your head, chump. I'll beat you so fast you be peeling your ass trying to make back your bread. Cost 5 yards a point to play in this joint. You can't come in on no humble. You got to show me your cash before we clash, and then me and you can rumble. First count out 30 grand and give it to your man, and likewise I'll do the same. We'll use the extra 5 yards and tip the guards, and then we'll commence with the game." I produced the dough and showed my foe that all the money was there. He covered my stake, then we lagged for the break, and I won it fair and square. I chose a 20-ounce cue that was just like new. While Stingy Bim racked him up, I chalked my tip, snapped the cue like a whip, and watched the balls erupt. The break was so loud that it hushed the crowd. They all grew quiet and still. I had sunk to 1 and thus begun the test of my pool room skill. I put English on the cue, then dropped the 2, then sank the 3 and the 4. Continued my drive by banking the 5 while Spoon kept track of the score. I dropped the 6, then just for kicks sank the 7 and 8. Pocketed the 9 and the 10, and chalked up again while Stingy Bim pondered his fate. I needed one more shot to win this pot while Slim was praying I'd miss. But as hell was my heaven when I sighted the 11 and sank it on a rail shot kiss. This ended the game, and Silas Slim claimed that he was the greatest at pool. I had made a clean sweep and saw the wolf turn sheep after publicly blowing his cool. His jaws got tight and he wanted to fight, but his partner held his hand. It would have cost him his life had he had drawn his knife, in addition to 30 grand. With Spoon's piece at his head, he'd have definitely been dead, and it would have been nothing he could have done. It was just lucky for him that his partner Jim had dug Spoon drawing his gun. We collected our dough, then told them to go. While they both still had the chance, Slim looked so grim, I felt sorry for him being a victim of circumstance. They each flashed a grin and got in the wind as fast as they could flee. We paid off the guards and went on to play cards. The time at approximately 3. We had made over 62 grand since we first began, and we didn't even work up a sweat. It was a royal little sum, but the best was yet to come as we listened to the card shops bet. Bet a grand, bet 2, is that the best y'all can do? Bet 3, bet 4, I'll raise you 2 more. The poker table was crowded and heavily enshrouded with the smoke of the players' cigars. They were drinking and smoking, snorting and coking, and being watched by 2 underworld czars. There were 7 cats playing, but only 3 of them were staying, cause the other 4 dudes had to fold. These 3 studs were hot and had won every pot, whilst the other cats' hands were cold. They were playing 5-card draw and had won premature, and just knew that they had it made, so we decided we'd liven up the pot by copping a squat, cause we were much more harder to persuade. Big Bill Wheeler had been the dealer, along with Spongy and Shy. They had played it slick and used the Indian giver trick, then let the other 4 cats comply. We copped our squats, then anteed in the pot. The figure was set at $1,000. We sat across from each other so we could dig one another and signal when we copped a hand. With our emotions concealed, we each cut for the deal, then passed around the pack. First Spongy and I, then Bill, Spoon, and Shy, who was the first man to come up with a jack. Shy broke out a new deck, which I asked to inspect. Before we all embarked, I checked out the front, sides, and back, then let Spoon cut the pack, satisfied that the cards weren't marked. He shuffled and dealt with nerves like steel, commanding our quiet respect. After receiving my hand, I signaled to my man to open up indirect. Spoon coughed back twice, letting me know he was nice, sitting there with 3 of a kind. But first we'd have to lure them in and let them think they could win by making our attacks combine. Spongy opened for $1,000 and the play began, but not till they had paid the price, cause I quickly raised his bet with my jaws dead set, wearing a face like a sheet of ice. It was now on Bill to assert his will and call my raise of 20, but he ended his bout by copping out, saying, "That's $2 too many." Spoon diagnosed the effects as his turn came next, just like I expected him to. He then called my bet and Shy began to sweat, trying to figure out what he should do. He soon realized that he couldn't last, so he reluctantly passed, and it was now on Spongy again. After wiping away his sweat, he called my bet, then raised me another 10. But by now we had cramped their style and had Spongy's mind beguiled, so he didn't know what to do. I then folded my hand according to plan, giving Spoon the green light cue. Spoon tripled his 10, and it was on Spongy again. The call raised a die. The pressure was so great, he had to deliberate before he could give his reply. After a 5-minute stall, he finally called, saying, "I'll take 2 cards, my man." Spoon also took 2, and the tension grew as to who had the better hand. Spoon soon signaled with a nod, indicating he had received a card. He needed to make 4 of a kind. Meanwhile, Spongy had raised him another 10, saying, "It's on you, my friend," trying to put my man in the bind. But Spoon took it in stride as he quickly complied and dealt with the situation. He put his 10 G's in the pot, saying, "Now let's see what you got," without the slightest hesitation. Spongy laid down his hand, saying, "4 studs, my man," and reached over to scoop up the pot, but Spoon stopped him cold, saying, "It's about time you were told. 4 bitches is what I got." Dude went mad and started to jump bad, pulling his Roscoe out of his slide. Just then Grit shouted to Q, "Telephone for you!" interrupting a sure homicide. Everybody froze as Spoon and I rose with our pieces in our hands. Spoon scooped up the dough and we moved away slow, cause we had other plans. We had made 110 grand on that last poker hand, bringing our total up to 172. I figured we'd pay off Grit, then sky up and split, now that our work was through. Grit had two of his men escort us back to his den, while two more posers out double, they covered our backs against any sneak attacks in case we should run into trouble. He was beaming with pride when we stepped inside and greeted us like we were his sons. He slapped us 5, then started rapping this jive about how happy he was that we won. I dig you cats, I think y'all are where it's at, but y'all gonna have to get up off 60%. You see, I got to give my bosses a cut or else they'll bury my butt, cause I'm 4 months behind in rent. Now I know how you feel, but that's the deal. Sorry, but my hands are tied. Them grades got the odds all stacked. Plus y'all are covered from the back, so please keep your hands from your side. Just turn around slow and hand them over the dough, and I'll see to it that nobody gets hurt. And if y'all lose your toe, you might live to grow old, and you won't have to bite the dirt. I dropped and spun, firing 2 rounds from my gun, while Spoon covered Grit with his shit. This caught the Grays by surprise, and I put 2 slugs twixt their eyes. Then we used Grit's body to split. We backed out slow, still clutching our dough, and using Grit's body as a shield. Spoon had the money in a sack and his gun in Grit's back, so Grit made his bodyguards yield. When we got to the door, we flung Grit to the floor, then fired a few rounds in the air. The shots rang loud, panicked the crowd, and they all started running for the rear. We cut out for the short to avoid getting caught, now that the shit had hit the fan. But as we burst through the door, we were chased by 4 more, and they pursued us in a blue sedan. Fortunately, our hog was fast, and we had a full tank of gas as I accelerated to 105, but they were hot on our heels and some Oldsmobile wheels equipped with automatic super drive. We headed west on the Crosstown Express to try and shake these chumps, but it became a 3-car race when the police joined the chase, and our only chance was to head for the dumps. The sedan broke off the chase when they saw the police enter the case. As the pursuer became the prey, their driver lost his nerve and they smashed up on the curb and were killed trying to get away. Since we had them both beat from the jump, we arrived first at the dump and pulled into one of the lanes. There were rows of abandoned wrecks, one right after the next, and they were linked by rusted chains. We had played there as kids and had oftentimes hid stolen goods, jewelry, or cash. We would go there a lot to hide stuff that was hot when we couldn't get next to our stash. We stashed our cash in a 12 car from the last, then proceeded to get in the wind, but we were a little too late because they had us cut off at the gate and the police were closing in. Seems they had radioed ahead as our lead on them spread, and 5 more joined the pursuit. We found ourselves surrounded by the man, and we were forced to take a stand because the only way out was to shoot. They turned their floodlights on, then used the bullhorn to tell us to throw down our arms. They guaranteed us a fair trial if we came out single file and promised that we'd come to no harm. But we could tell by their rap that they were laying a trap to get us to step out in the light. They would shoot a black man to death on just suspicion of theft, so we figured it was better to fight. We shot their floodlights out, then heard their captain shout, "Open fire on them, men!" They cut loose with a barrage of lead that whistled past my head, and the shit hit the fan again. They pinned us down with our stomachs to the ground, and I knew that we'd have to move fast. There was only one other way out, and that was by a secret route that we had oftentimes used in the past. I told Spoon to go, but he yelled back no, and wanted to argue the point, but I told him that I didn't have the time, because I had already made up my mind that he wasn't going back to the joint. He mumbled some shit about not wanting to split, then reluctantly got in the wind. He hadn't been long gone when the police came on and knocked down 3 of them as they were closing in. But their attack was combined. 2 more came up from behind and shot me before I could turn around. I heard a whip light crack and felt a sharp pain in my back as I slumped and fell to the ground. They started busting me up good and would have killed me if they could, but for this one black cop on the scene, they were stomping me to death, and I was gasping for breath when he stepped up and intervened. When I finally came to, I was all black and blue, and one of my legs was in a sling. I was handcuffed at the wrist and on the critical list in the prison ward hospital wing. Seems they had blown a hole through my chest that almost laid me to rest and put knots all upside my head. I was gagging and choking, and my right leg was broken, and it was just a miracle that I wasn't dead. I was sentenced to the chair and shipped to Sing Sing from there, where I spent the next 12 years on death row. But I kept on copping a stay till the death penalty was done away, and after retrial they finally let me go. It had cost me 12 years of my time to realize what a nickel and dime hustler I had really been, while the real hustlers were ripping off billions from the unsuspecting millions who are programmed to think they can win. But fortunately I had escaped from the deathly fate of being fried alive in a chair, 'cause in my solitude I found out what's really going down. You see, I had learned the whole truth while I was there.